And up next here we got Loik Radzhabov taking on Trey Ogden, and this is a great matchup here. I mean, Loik Radzhabov came to UFC. He looked really good in his debut. If I remember correctly, it was a back and forth fight, but he got the job done and had a bad loss, but then he came back and got another win over an up and comer his last fight. So kind of been a little up and down, but 2-1 and looking to move close to the top 15 with the win over another guy that's been up and down in the UFC, but more up lately on a win streak with Trey Ogden. He should have 3 wins in a row, but had one victory taken away from him due to the ref stopping it early. And he's been looking really good recently, Trey Ogden. So it's going to be a nice class of styles here, too, because we got a guy in Radzhabov. He's, big, bulky, super strong, comes in and uses his athleticism, his explosiveness. He's throwing big punches. He's a great wrestler, and that's primarily his weapon. Versus someone like Trey Ogden, who's a technician. He's someone that's maybe not necessarily as built up and strong physically. He's not as athletic and explosive as Radzhabov, but he has the basics down on the feet really well. He could jab you to death and keep you at bay. He's a great mover. They call him the Ghost for a reason, and then he can mix in takedowns, great timing, good top control, solid submission game, and just has a full well-rounded arsenal that he brings to the cage, along with fight IQ that he has from coaching and running a gym as well. So he's definitely the real deal, but he's going to have to figure out how to move around the cage, the smaller octagon with Radzhabov, and not get backed up. He needs to have that jab, really popping in this fight, and he needs to have the movement really going well side to side, because you saw certain portions of the fight with Kurhalaba, even though it was a dominant victory for Ogden, primarily through his wrestling and his top control, he was getting backed up and clipped a little bit. And Radzhabov brings that effective pressure, especially early on before he gets tired. So for the first, 7 or 8 minutes, I think Ogden needs to be really aware to stay mobile and not let Radzhabov kind of get into the fight or land a big bomb on him on the feet and gain some confidence. But overall, I think in the stand-up, Ogden should be a lot smoother and cleaner. Radzhabov, he likes the 3-2s, the big lead hook, but he's loading everything that he throws, and everything's with power. So I feel like that jab, the straight punches from Ogden are really going to land nicely, and he just needs to keep the activity rate high so Radzhabov doesn't slip and land something big, and also stay, real crisp with his punches, not get lazy and stuff like that. And I wouldn't engage in too much wrestling early. I mean, maybe second, third round, once you see Radzhabov get frustrated with the movement, overextend, maybe you could time a takedown, put him on his back, and start to really wear on that gas tank that Radzhabov historically doesn't have the greatest. But Radzhabov is a really good wrestler, and that's something that he is going to have the advantage of over almost everyone that he fights. You could tell that when he gets a hold of like a single or a double, he's usually going to get it, man. He's extremely strong. So Ogden just has to be aware, that he may get put on his back here. And I wouldn't play too much jiu-jitsu. Maybe if you can catch him when he's tired late with the guillotine or a submission like that, then that would be great. But if you get taken out early, try to get back up and wear on that gas, take Radzhabov, and don't let him rest and get an early lead without doing a lot of cardio output. So for Ogden, I think he's going to have a good game plan, which I expect him to have. And if he does, I think he can get the job done. I feel like on the feet, he's going to be able to stick and move and be more effective, I think, as long as he doesn't get clipped with a big shot. And if he can either get back up to his feet and then extend the fight or stuff the takedowns, then I think that he's going to maybe be able to really be fairly dominant as the fight gets later. And I could see him maybe getting to finish late in the fight or submission late in the fight. So I think Ogden is going to get the job done here as long as he comes in and fights on point Radzhabov is a dangerous opponent, but I just think Ogden is going to be a little bit too slick for him in this spot.